Hi, and welcome back to Out of the Ice podcast. So, like I said last time, the main topic of this podcast, is going to be talking about The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
But, because this is still being recorded during quarantine times, we've been extremely fucking bored.
Oh my god. The most exciting thing that's happened to us this whole week is that we got a grill.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, is kind of exciting, but still.
I made brats.
You've been very good grill boy.
Yep. But, so, because of that, we've been watching more movies, and a lot of them she still hasn't seen because, of course. So, and the streaming service that I've been using the most recently is Disney Plus, because I really like Disney. They have a lot of shit because they buy everything, and
they have everything.
Yeah. That, and I'm a huge fan about the Disney parks, and they've been doing stuff like that and behind-the-scenes stuff. Like, they just did release the series Prop Culture, which is all about, like, props from older movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that is legitimately like, oh,
yeah,
yes,
I saw,
yes.
Yeah, I saw the Mary Poppins and the Muppet movie episode, and those were really good.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we've got a new segment. I'm not sure how long we will do this. But at least until quarantine ends, whenever that may happen, if it ever does.
Well, I mean,
this might just be the new status quo of the world.
Yeah, I know we're hitting stage 3 next week, where restaurants are going to be able to reopen with some guidelines.
Oh, that's going to be a disaster.
Oh.
Zombie outbreak incoming. But so, because like honestly, especially here in Illinois, do you really think that any guidelines are going to be fucking followed? No.
Well, maybe where we're at. Like, I was talking to my mom about it when I met up with her.
Literally
she said pretty much for the most part everybody's been very well behaved where she's
Every
at.
single store around us has the thing where it's like face coverings are required or you will be fined. And yet we'll walk around and see a bunch of people without face masks. Even the last time I went to a Meijer's, one of the employees didn't have a face mask. Nobody said anything. He seemed completely unashamed, even proud.
That just makes me... It makes me mad. Again, like, I don't want to spend the whole podcast episode ranting about it, but if you think, if you're walking around without a mask, like, that's, like, in a weird way, I hate using this word, but in a weird way, you're, like, privileged because you or no one else that you know is suffering from the virus, and it's not pretty, even the mild cases. It sucks.
It's like those people.
You would be wearing.
It's like those people around the country who, you know, before this all happened, were like, "I'm pro-life. Nobody should take a life." And then it's like, "Reopen the state. The weak should die." It's like what?
If you or anyone else was dealing with the fucking virus, you would be wearing the mask.
By the way, a lot of people who listen to this would probably say, "Oh, why are they getting political?" That's not political. That's making fun of stupid people. If you're pro-life,
if you think this mask is political, then
yeah. If you're pro-life, but you're consistent about it, that is your viewpoint. That is your moral choice to be in that opinion. I'm not going to fault you for that. But when you are completely contradictory because it suddenly isn't in your self-interest to view everyone as some perfect, precious gift from God because you can't go to McD's and sit in the restaurant, you're an asshole and an idiot. So it's not political, it's making fun of stupid people. There's a difference. But anyway, to get off of this tangent, sorry, but this is the world we're living in right now as of recording. This segment is just going to be, you know, giving brief little summaries and snippets, almost like mini topics on other movies that we've watched in the intervening time between podcasts. So, you know, you're basically getting multiple for the price of one.
Hey.
They just won't be as detailed.
Especially because I barely took any notes around this time. I just decided, like, you know what? Let's just try to sit down and enjoy the movies and see what I can go off of.
Yep. So, I don't really have a name for it yet. I think I did at one point, but I forgot.
Shit. You're right. I forgot too.
So, for now, I'm just calling it Bored in Quarantine.
Yeah. I think I could have sworn there was some. It had something. I'm remembering this conversation a little more now. I had to do something with Disney Plus in the title or something.
Or maybe we should say we're in quarantine, so fuck it, let's stream. Something like that. Mm-hmm. But whatever. If any listeners, are listening in a place where you can comment, if you have a suggestion for the name, go ahead and write it down. So far we haven't had any comments or reviews. So if you are listening,
we've had 2 5-star reviews from.
But did they actually say anything?
No.
Yeah. So but I appreciate the 5-star reviews, but I think those were both from people that know us, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So appreciated, but
thanks, Mom. Thanks, Sarah.
But yeah. If you guys are listening, please let us know how we're doing. Let us know how you think. I know, even I can relate to this because I feel this way. Commenting can be kind of an anxiety-inducing thing because you're putting yourself out there. I'm not going to make fun of you. All right? I'm not going to make fun of you. I probably won't mention it unless you say something funny that you clearly want to be shared. Like, oh, hey, share this on the podcast. Here's a funny anecdote. But or if it's a positive thing or valid constructive criticism, I might share that, but it'd be paraphrased, and you can always just say don't mention this on the podcast. But please comment. I want to know how we're doing. I really would appreciate that feedback. So the movie that we're talking about today is The Princess Bride. I've read part of the book, but then ADHD caught up with me. I think I got to the point, apparently I was a few pages away from the introduction of Vicini and the gang. Mm-hmm. So that sucks. But then I lent it to Kat because I'm like, I think that you'll like this and you're a more avid reader because school didn't completely trounce your love of reading into the dirt by giving you really shitty book choices.
No, well, I mean, we didn't always have good book choices, but this is how I did it in middle school. If I didn't like what we were reading, I would just pick a different. Most of middle school English class, I wasn't paying attention to the lesson or reading the actual book we were supposed to be reading. I was reading a book of my own.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
I just, for some reason, it's in my brain now, where it's just no, reading sucks because I was forced to do it. I'm just one of those people. You force me to do something that I don't want to do, and even if I like it in the off time, I'm never going to do it again. It's like the kid in the sandbox dilemma,
But yeah, so I ended up reading The Princess Bride back in January and February. I was reading it at least 40 minutes or so a day, and then I got through it. And I really, really liked the book. It was really, I thought there was some good funny. I loved the characters. Of course, Vicini and the game are gang. Blah! They're great. They're really, really good. But I'm going to try to remember as much as I can about the book because it was a while ago. I wanted to listen to the audiobook of it, but there's a 2-week wait on that.
Yeah.
Wait from the library.
So anyway, we also recently just watched the movie. But aside from that, before we watched the movie, we were bored and I was like, man, I really want to watch some movies, but I know Kat hasn't seen these movies. And that's just taking away an episode and not letting people in on what she thought. And I'm like, wait, I could just ask her for her quick thoughts about it near the end. Yeah. So this time it's going to be the original Muppet movie and a Goofy movie. Mm-hmm. The second one, a Goofy movie, was just because I really missed that movie. I wanted to see Powerline again.
Yeah, and I'm thinking. Especially with everything going on, all 3 movies kind of had their lightheartedness. Mm-hmm. They were fun movies, and we kind of need some of that.
Yeah, and Muppet movie was because I recently was showing her the original Muppet show, mm-hmm. which I guess you could give your opinions on that recently. I don't think we could do a whole episode about that.
No, not
because
really.
It's not really a story-structured show.
It's been a while since we've actually watched an episode now that I think about it, but
yeah,
I've been liking what I see. I just feel so bad, because you can't, because it's, it's just kind of little skits and jokes and all that, but I have to say, just Kermit just trying to deal with the insanity of his crew.
Just trying to run a show.
He's just trying his best.
Yeah.
And, God, the 2 old guys that are just heckling.
Oh, Stadler and Waldorf.
They're my favorite.
Yeah.
Oh my
What do you think of that show? I don't know. I wasn't watching. Oh, my favorite Swedish chef.
Swedish chef.
Here's the spaghetti, here's the burger, and the turkey burger, and the meatball. Whoop. And then the Cumber Downy. But also, it was very funny because before I showed her the Muppet Show, I actually have a Kermit puppet, like a little plush puppet.
Oh, God.
And I've just been terrorizing her with that because I can do a decent Kermit voice, usually.
Like there have been nights where like I'm crawling in bed, I'm about to go to bed, and just barely I hear something. And I open my eyes and I see it.
Good to see you, Cat. It's me, Kermit the Frog here. Are you prepared to die?
And then Scott will attack me with a fucking Muppet.
I just flail the plush doll around to do the Kermit arms.
And
Smack, 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 smack.
And like Kermit will just take its mouth and go whomp.
Yeah, just
me.
Go for the throat.
It's terrifying, guys.
Yeah.
I swear we're friends. It's fine.
Oh, this is what happens when you're both a best friend of me and my roommate. You become my torment toy.
Oh, you better enjoy it because you know there's so few people in the world that would probably be willing to tolerate that.
And that's why I don't want to be roommates with them. But yeah, so I showed her the original show and she's like, wow. Aside from the voice, your version of Kermit is not Kermit at all. And I'm like, yeah, that's the point. My version of Kermit is more based on like the Kermit memes. Prepare to face the ultimate spell. Are you ready to meet your god? Gun.
I love Kermit's it's a puppet, but the facial expressions, like every single one of those could be
the little frown that he does towards the camera.
Yeah, any of those would be an amazing like reaction shot.
Oh, they are.
I remember seeing him a lot back in my Tumblr days. Like,
yeah.
They're good. They're good picks.
But yeah, so we will cover those other two movies here at the end. But now let's get to the main topic, The Princess Bride. So this was it was originally a 20th Century Fox movie. I guess it still technically is.
Yeah.
But now 20th Century Fox is owned by Disney. Which, means that one, Pandora in Animal Kingdom finally actually makes sense because it's a Disney property now. And two, they got back the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, which who the fuck cares about the Fantastic Four? But in getting the Fantastic Four, they got Doctor Doom, so that'd be fun to introduce, Marvel. Gotta get my boy Doom in there. Then we can do like a version of the Secret Wars where Spidey gets his black costume because fuck the Venom movie, it doesn't exist. And we have the Beyonder, and we can introduce Galactus in that. And oh my god,
we're almost 15 minutes into this episode. And
let me nerd. But it also means that they got a lot of 20th Century Fox movies and are putting them on their streaming service. One of those being The Princess Bride. And this movie is about a kid who's sick, which is kind of based on a flashback scene in the prologue.
Yeah, they never said Billy's name. Like, I don't think, because
I don't think it's supposed to be, because in the credits it's just named the grandson and the grandfather.
Okay, because it was just little details I noticed. Because I saw, like, in the kid's room, like, because I remember in the book, too, where, because the kids think he's like, man, just, I don't remember the specifics, but he mentioned the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah.
And I saw, like
memorabilia
in the room.
Sports.
Yeah, so like, when I saw this all in the room, I'm like, okay, here's the beginning of the movie. Billy's, like, sick and delirious, and now he's going to get the Princess Bride read to him, and this was all in the prologue.
Yeah, but, like, in the book, it's read to him by his father.
Yes.
Like, his immigrant dad. Mm-hmm. In this one, it's read to him by his grandfather, who also apparently read it to his father. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a mashup of both the narrator of the book and the narrator's son, and stuff like this, and like it's an amalgamation. So there's nods to the book prologue, but it's a little different. For one, also the thing of the kid being read to it sick in bed, instead of it taking place in like what, the fucking 30s or something. because the guy was an adult in the 80s. Now it's taking place in modern time, and the kid is just an 80s kid played by Fred Savage, which Kat doesn't know much about Fred Savage yet, but I'm sure some viewers out there know about Fred Savage, whether it's from The Wizard or from The Wonder Years.
I know The Wizard's on the to-watch list.
Oh, yeah. Love the Power Glove. It's so bad. But we'll have to track down a copy of that somewhere. Which I know for a fact that won't ever be on Disney Plus because it's a Universal movie. Anyway,
rest in peace. But
which I don't think Universal has a unless NBC has a streaming service, maybe Universal stuff would be on that.
I don't know if I don't know if NBC does. I know CBS does. But,
yeah. But yeah, so like he's being read this book by his grandfather, and at first he's not into it.
Is this one of those kissing books?
Yeah. At first he asked, like, is there sports in this book? And it's like, are you kidding? There's fighting and all this stuff.
And true love. And
yeah, it's like, is this a kissing book? All this stuff. But we go into the book, and there are two characters at the start, the farm boy and Buttercup. Because apparently Buttercup's parents named her as if they would name a horse. Who the fuck names a human Buttercup?
Yeah, it is weird. And like in the beginning,
and the beginning of the book is very truncated because they want to get into the meat of it. Like
because you skipped all the stuff where Buttercup is being absolutely terrible to Farm Boy.
It hints at it.
Yeah.
But
and she was in hardcore denial at first that she liked Farm Boy until she just had to say it.
Yeah.
But they just went with it right away.
Yeah, and so Farm Boy, whose name is Wesley, goes off to, I guess, seek his fortune or something.
Yeah, seek his fortune in America. Promise back.
Is it stated that it's America, or is it?
I'm 99% sure it was America.
Okay, is that in the book? Because I think the movies he just said overseas or to the new land.
I'm pretty sure in the book it said America.
Yeah,
I would have. I should have brought the book for reference, but eh.
Yeah, because the book also says that, this is like, it's kind of like King Arthur, where it's an allegory for historical events. Whereas the movie doesn't really touch on that. It's just a fairy tale. So they, he goes off, and then like a while after, Buttercup gets news that the ship that Wesley was on was attacked by the Dread Pirate Roberts, who is this deadly pirate figure of legend, and who apparently never takes prisoners. So Wesley is apparently dead as shit. And she's just like, all right, I'm never going to love again. Cut to...
And they completely kind of glossed over the fact that the Count, like, the reason that Buttercup even became the princess because the Count basically, like, was just wandering out and found her. And it was like, she'll work.
Yeah. And also, am I forgetting wrong, or in the book, don't they give her a different name as, like, a title? They don't just call her Princess Buttercup, do they?
Not that I remember. Not that I remember
as they don't call her that, or they don't give her a title.
I don't remember the title. Damn, I should have grabbed the book.
Okay, maybe they do just call her Princess Buttercup, but for some reason I thought that they gave her a different name. But anyway, cut to a little bit after where she's already been announced as like the new princess to be, and she's just so like not cool with it. But she's like, fuck it, I'll do it, I guess. I don't know. I'm basically just waiting to die at this point.
Yeah.
Because fuck this. And so she is on a horse ride and gets kidnapped by these three people. Vizzini, Inigo, and... what the heck? Fezzik, that's right, thank you. I was just going to call him Andre. Because it's Andre the Giant.
The casting for Fezzik was perfect. Like, it literally, like, it was what I imagined that he would look like when I was reading the book.
I don't know if he ever did, but I need to look up and see if Andre the Giant ever played the Hulk. Because Lou Ferrigno is the one who played the Hulk in the TV show back in the day. But good God, would Andre the Giant be a perfect Hulk. Maybe he did. Maybe he's the one who played the Hulk in that milk commercial. Because I know there were some WWF wrestlers who were playing. Anyway, I just need to look that up. Because, God, would that be perfect? I miss you, Andre. He died.
Yeah, I remember you told me that.
Yeah, poor dude. He had a few roles that kind of became, like, very pop culture centric. Like, he's in Goonies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's in Goonies as Sloth. But I don't think you've seen Goonies either.
No, it's on the list.
Yeah. So we've got Inigo, Fezzik, and Vizzini. They kidnap the princess, lead her through this like sea of big old dead eels.
Yeah.
Big old deadly eels, and it cuts back to the kid and the grandfather, and it's like, she doesn't die to the eels, by the way.
I'm so glad they kept that. And
yeah, it's like, hey, you're just looking very stressed. You know, I don't want to overstress you while you're sick. She's not gonna die to the eels right now. Just keep reading, Grandpa. Okay, yeah. And
yeah, because the dad did that to the son back in the book too.
Yeah.
It just like the story just abruptly cuts to him saying, "Oh, then they don't die, by the way," and then it just goes back later.
Yeah.
Like,
and so she gets pulled out of the lake because she fell in while they're being chased by this ship. Fezzik pulls her out, you know, and all this stuff. Also, there's this great line where, you know, they're on the ship, and Vizzini is like, oh, nobody talk. Anybody want a peanut? I love that line. And so they, you know, they're climbing up this cliff, and this guy in a mask starts climbing after them from the ship that was tailing them. And it's like, he's gaining on us. What's wrong with you, Fezzik? Well, he's only carrying himself. I'm carrying, like, 4 people, including me. I don't want any excuses. I just need to get another giant. Oh, don't say that. That's hurt my feelings.
Vizzini was so good.
Yeah. Inconceivable! Which, by the way, that actor is in 2 of the movies we're talking about.
Yeah.
He's the principal in a Goofy movie.
Which is a weird coinky-dink that it worked out that way.
Well, he was in a lot of crap.
Yeah, because and it was weird.
He's still in stuff, actually.
Because, like, I did, like, when you were so when I first saw Vizzini, I'm like, I know this guy from somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and I couldn't, like, Scott was listing off movies and roles he's had, and I had seen or remembered none of those.
Well, he's done commercials, he's done cameos.
You know,
he's done,
a commercial might make sense.
Like, I wouldn't doubt it if he's been, you know, he's done audiobooks, like,
yeah.
Which, good lord, would that be great.
I would love that.
Because his voice is kind of like a chiller Gilbert Gottfried.
Yes.
Like, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a chiller Iago. You know? Which is not an insult, by the way, sir. I think it was Wallace Shawn was his name, I believe. I might be wrong on that, sorry. But I think that's right. Anyway, he played one of the ghosts in Haunted Mansion 2, which is what I always think of him about, because he got the famous line of "There's always my way."
Oh yeah. Okay.
Like, from the Ghost host.
Okay, I'm gonna be listening for that more next time we go.
No, not in the ride. In the movie.
Oh, in the movie. Oh.
Yeah, no, in the ride, it's the ghost host who says that, and it's Paul Frees, I believe, is the ghost host.
Okay.
No. And in the movie, that line is really fucking stupidly just kind of shoved in there inappropriately. You know, it's not good, but
at least it's
I
there.
like that he said it.
Yeah.
And it leads into the graveyard scene, which is the most true to the ride scene of the movie. Like, all of the behind the scenes features are basically on the graveyard scene. Like, a lot of people really, really cared about doing that scene. The only other good scene is when they're in a mausoleum and there's these zombies that are really, really fucking cool looking and creepy for a Disney movie. Then the rest of it is Eddie Murphy shitting all over my childhood favorite ride.
Oof.
I like you, Eddie Murphy. You were not the right choice. Oh my god. Channel Awesome did a episode called Fanscription where they do like a rewrite of the Haunted Mansion, keeping some of the original story beats, but they changed some stuff up to make it more faithful to the ride and actually a little bit more scary and intimidating, as well as funny. And they even kind of base it a little bit off of Phantom Manor, which has a more serious plot and more narrative in general, which makes sense. I'm not saying that Haunted Mansion is the worst movie ever made. It's not. It actually pulls some deep, heavy lore cuts. It's just not a good movie.
Anywhoozle, The Princess Bride.
Yeah. Oops, sorry, my Disney is showing. Hello, I'm Walt Disney.
Yeah,
Get back in my heart.
Yeah, there's your Star Wars shirt.
Oh yeah, I am wearing a Star Wars shirt. Huh. Listeners, because this is an audio podcast, I'm currently wearing a shirt that says Star Wars, has like the little retro, in like upside down triangle, kind of thing that everything had after Pink Floyd made Dark Side of the Moon, and then Millennium Falcon, and it's all in like shiny gold material. Anyway,
But yeah, so they're climbing up the cliffs of insanity.
They're climbing up the cliffs of insanity, and they finally make it up, and Vizzini tells them to cut the rope. And both Inigo and Fezzik are like, that seems kind of dickish. Like,
yeah.
You know, and Vizzini's like, what to do it, and all this stuff. And they look over, the guy's still climbing. Mm-hmm. It's like, fine, we'll take the girl. Inigo, you deal with him. And it's like, all right. And then Inigo's all impatient.
This whole exchange was so good.
Hello, sir. How long do you think you'll be up there? Be a bitch.
Like, one thing I could say...
you stop distracting me? This isn't as easy as I'm making it look.
Like, and again, it's been a while since I've actually read the book, and that's why I really want to get back into reading or listening to it at some point.
Yeah.
Because, like, a lot of the humor, like, of course the book was funny,
yeah.
but I feel like the movie really brought it to life.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing. Like, you kind of have to read it in your own sense of comedic timing when you're reading a book, because if you're just powering through it, it doesn't land as well when it's a book that has comedy in it.
You know, that's a really good point, because I mean, I'm a quick reader, so
yeah.
like not like just out of habit. So I wonder if I slow down and listen to the audiobook, it'll hit a little harder.
Because like that's part of the reason why I kind of get through books much slower, is I kind of read them as if I'm reading a screenplay and imagining what the movie would be.
Oh, okay.
They're very fucking long movies in my head because I don't cut anything. You know, I do the Peter Jackson approach of, if the movie's 4 hour long, fuck it, it's 4 hour long. You know? 5 hour long movie, fuck it. King Kong, 20 hours. Who cares? I'm making a movie here. But anyway, then we have that good character moment of like, oh, you know, I'm getting kind of bored. How about I just pass you the rope? If you pass me the rope, what's to stop you from just cutting it again and sending me to my death? That's a fair point, but I guess you just have to trust me. Why? What reason would I have to trust you? You're my enemy. I swear on my father's life. All right, toss me the rope. You know, and then it's like, starts to pull out the sword. No, you were just climbing. Take your time. I can wait. Oh, thank you. You know, they just have a little banter, you know, get to know each other a little bit.
And I like, it was a good replacement, because like at this point, this is where like the story kind of breaks, and you, like for every segment, well, except for Vizzini, he doesn't really get a segment, but like both Inigo and Fezzik both get like a flashback scene where you kind of see like their perspective and point of view, their backstories. Mm-hmm. So, but instead they're just kind of telling it casually.
they're just talking about it, getting to know each other.
Yeah, it's a good replacement for that, and it makes you care enough about the characters.
Yeah, and like, you know, eventually, you know, he gets up and is like, oh, are you ready? Whether I am or not, I think you've been more than fair. All right. They just have a little sword duel, and, you know, they're kind of testing each other, warming up and all this stuff. Oh, you're very good. You know, it's like, but I have a secret. Well, what's that? I'm not left-handed.
Oh.
Oh, well, neither am I. Whoa.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like, end it quickly. Dunk.
Oh.
Not gonna kill you. Just want you to know, I do this because I have the utmost respect for you. Bunk. Runs off. And then, meanwhile, the Count is chasing after them as well. And it cuts to him, like, starting to track him down. And then it goes back to Vizzini, the princess, and Fezzik. And Vizzini sees that the guy's, coming after him still. And it's like, inconceivable! He must have beaten Inigo. Fezzik, you deal with him your way. Okay. Wait, what's my way? See that rock there? Yeah. Wait for him behind the boulder, and when he comes around, hit him with it! My way is not very sportsmanlike.
Oh, I love Fezzik so much.
Yeah, he's just a good dude.
And he's really endearing in the book too. Like, him and Inigo's friendship is just so heartwarming. He was so upset at the thought that Inigo might be dead.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh, I'm heartbroken. I've known this character for like 3 pages.
Yeah. So, he waits and does a warning shot, like throws a boulder at him. It's like, that was a warning shot. I did not have to miss. It's like, I don't doubt you. So what should we do? We put down the weapons and we fight like men. And it's like, okay. So eventually, the guy who is in the mask, eventually, he gets on Fezzik's back, and Fezzik's like slamming him into the rockwork and stuff like this, but he manages to choke him out. Then, flips him over, checks to make sure he's okay. He's like, all right, cool. Runs off again. Then by the time he gets to Vizzini, he's sitting down, pulled goblets out of fucking somewhere, as well as a wine bottle and a picnic blanket. It's like, one more step and I put this knife into the princess's throat. It's like, okay, come on, let's just be gentlemen here. We can work something out. There will be no working out, and you're killing her by continuing to step. All right, dude, what do you want?
Yeah.
And so eventually, it's like, oh, you're clearly a man of wisdom and blah, blah, blah. How about a wager? It's like...
Battle of Wits.
Yeah, the Battle of Wits has begun. And so the guy introduces iocane powder and, puts the goblets behind his back, dumps it in one of the goblets, and then puts it there. It's like, the Duel of Wits has begun. And it's like, so you've put poison into one of the goblets. Well, and he goes on this whole diatribe about clearly I can't choose the one in front of you, but that means that I can't choose the one in front of me, but that means I can't choose the one in front of you, but that means I can't choose the one in front of me because of Australia, blah, 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 blah. You're stalling. Hardly. Look over there. Switches the goblets, takes the one from himself, and it's like, you chose wrong. Ha! That's what you think. While you were distracted, I switched the cups.
What would be the point of that?
Yeah, it's like...
It was our masked man is just letting him pick. Like, what's the point of just flipping him
the
around?
reason is because if you notice, he acts like he's going to drink and then sees that the masked man drinks confidently.
Oh, okay.
So he thinks, haha, I succeeded. Glug. And so it's like, your biggest mistake was never build a wager on life or death with a Sicilian. Ha 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 ha! Thump. It's like, how did you know how did you know he would pick the wrong glass? I poisoned both glasses. I just built up an immunity to the poison.
But a dish.
Yeah.
What a great punchline to that.
Oh, yeah. The Duel of Wits has begun. But so he now has the princess, unties her, and she asks who he is, and he says the Dread Pirate Robert. Well, no, actually, she figures out. She deduces that it's the Dread Pirate Robert and accuses him of killing her true love, and then he fires back like, "Oh, true love? You're freaking a cheating hussy! Like, you're marrying this guy? What? It'd take you a week and all this stuff." And so eventually, she gets fed up with his shit, pushes him down a hill, and as he's going tumbling down, he says the thing that Wesley always said, as you wish. And that puts it together for her, like, oh, this is Wesley. So she goes tumbling down the hill exactly the same way after him.
It is so derpy, and I love it.
And they end up in the fire swamps. and they have to avoid just gas pockets of flame shooting out, extreme sand,
and
ROUSs.
Yes,
Rodents of unusual size. Which I don't think they exist.
No. You were attacked by something this morning, though.
Yeah, it was.
It was probably a
I went on a
BOUS, bugs of unusual size.
Yeah, I went on a walk and something just like flew into my face, and I don't know if it hit with enough force to like leave a slight mark, or me like going and like wiping out my face did it. Like, but you know, I have a small blemish.
Yeah, like I woke up this morning and I saw that, and I'm like, what the fuck happened to you last night?
Don't worry about it.
You could have made up a cooler story, but you're just like, no, I got attacked by a bug.
Yeah, I should have said something like, well, funny thing, I'm a vigilante. And now that you know, you have to die.
What?
Scissors. But, anyway. So they eventually start getting out of the fire swamp, but oops-a-daisy, the prince is there and basically is like, okay, I'm gonna kill him and take her back. And it's like, you know, he's ready to make a stand, but then she's like, wait, if I come with you willingly, do you promise not to kill him? Like, to just get him back to his ship unharmed? And it's like, oh, well, yes, of course. And Wesley is like, the fuck? And it's like, I already thought you died once. Don't make me go through that again. All right? Just come for me later. And he's like, fucking okay. And so she leaves, and then the military dude.
The count. Or,
no, not the count.
Not the count.
The other guy.
The other guy. Who's the other?
The six-fingered man. And like, it's like, oh, time to get you back to your ship. And Wesley just goes, it's not like us men of action to lie. You know, it's just like, I know you're not taking me back to the ship. And they take him to like a torture place. I forget, it has a name. The Den of Sorrows or something.
Crap, I don't remember.
But anyway, it's in this thing, and there's an albino guy, you know, healing him up. And it's like, wait, why are you healing me if you're just going to kill me? So I was told to. Whatever. And so Wesley's getting tortured. And the princess all of a sudden is married to the prince because the king died. And the kid is like, what? No, you're reading it wrong. Excuse me? You're reading it wrong. She can't marry that asshole. She loves the other guy. It's like, are you going to let me finish the story or not? I'm just saying, you're reading it wrong. I think you're getting a little too worked up. I'll come back later. No, I'll be good. You know, and stuff like this. And then it's like, I'd like to introduce you to Queen Buttercup. Boo! Boo!
I'm so glad they kept that.
Boo! You had true love and you pissed it away. Boo on you. She wakes up. It was a dream. Which, since I didn't get that far into the book, I was looking at the woman being like, how the fuck does she know all this?
Yeah, it was so funny because you were just so confused. And I'm like, he hasn't caught on yet. This is great.
Yeah, I'm just like, how the fuck does she know all this? I mean, I know it's a fairy tale and a comedy, but how would she... Wait a minute. I get what's happening here. Boo! But yeah, so I was a slow boy on the uptake there for some reason. I don't know. I think I was just like caught on the fuck would you know that? Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on a second there, Mr. Screenwriter. I think I might have run circles around your logic. Oh, nope, I'm done. Alright, never mind. I'll be in the back. But so she wakes up, and I think it then she is like, you know, I'd rather die than marry you. Wesley will come to save me, and if he doesn't, I'll kill myself. All this stuff, and it's like, oh, all right, I'll send him a letter to get him to come back here.
Of course, send my 4 fastest ships.
Yeah, and then he, you know, goes down to the torture thing, and like the little torture device that they have ramps it up And it's like, no, not to 50. And it's like, gah. Meanwhile, Inigo, who has been drunk, waiting for Vizzini, who's dead, to come back and, rendezvous with him, is about to...
Yep, back to the beginning.
Yep, is all drunk and shit. And Fezzik finds him, and nurses him back to health by dumping him in cold water, then hot water, then cold water, then hot water, until Inigo's finally like, enough! Good Lord! And so, finally, I think Fezzik's the one who dishes out that the Six-Finger Man is the...
Yes.
Yeah, is the military guy. And so it's like, we'll need help to get into the castle. That masked man, the man in black, he'll help us. It's like, oh, well, we don't know where he is. We'll find him. And so they're going through a town, and Wesley is screaming so loud that every character can hear him all throughout the kingdom. And he goes, do you hear that? It is the sound of unimaginable pain. I made that when my father died in front of me. The man in black makes it now.
Oh.
How do you know it's the man in black? His true love is about to be married off to another man. What else would make that noise? So they go and they try to find him. They find the albino, who somehow they know will get them to the man in black, but they knock him out on accident. And so it's like, oh, father, lead my sword to the entrance. Goes into a tree, and he goes like, damn it. Leans against the tree, door opens in the tree. Like, oh.
Convenient.
Yeah. They find Wesley, all dead and shit.
Yeah.
And,
it was, even though they kind of glossed over it, like them actually going through, all the different floors of the grounds. I liked this part of the book too, because Fezzik and Inigo are just trying to act like they're not terrified, but they're terrified as hell.
Yeah. So they get him out of there, and they're like, oh, he's dead, but maybe we could still use this. I just hope we have enough coin for a miracle. And they go to this guy named Miracle Max. And there's this fun exchange where they're talking to him through the door. And it's like, get out of here before you call the Brute Squad. I'm on the Brute Squad. You are the Brute Squad. Finally he lets them in. He basically just pumps air into the guy's lungs, presses on it. It's like, all right, what's so noble that you need to be alive? It's like, you see, he said true love, no nobler reason. Now he said to bluff. He's a gambler, and it's like, liar, liar. Miracle Max's wife shows up. Finally, they end up doing it because it will fuck up the Count and the Prince.
Yeah. So, when they were describing Wesley in that state, was it it was mostly dead, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a very big difference between mostly dead and all dead.
And I loved, because this was, I think, one of my favorite scenes in the book. While they're discussing it and bickering, the author takes a minute to know. It's at this point, Wesley went from almost
mostly dead to almost dead.
Yeah, that was good.
So they give him a pill, and it's like, oh, what is that mixture? Chocolate makes it go down easier. All this stuff. They take it, and it's like, okay, let this sit for 15 minutes for maximum potency, and they give it to him. And they walk off. Bye-bye, boys. Have fun storming the castle. And so they're looking at it, and it's like, wow, that's way more guards than we thought there'd be. And they give it to him, but they give him the medicine early, so he's waking up from death real slow.
Yeah, it's just basically a limp noodle for
limp noodle of a boy. And it's like, where am I? What's going on? It's like, are we friends or enemies? Friends, I believe. And all this stuff. And it's like, what are our assets? You, me, and Fezzik. There's no way we could storm the castle. And eventually, Inigo mentioned that they have a wheelbarrow.
And why did you mention that?
Why didn't you mention that in our assets? Now, if only we had a cloak. And Fezzik just goes, what, like this? Why do you have that? It is comfortable. So they use that to dress Fezzik up as this like legendary Grim Reaper version of the Dread Pirate Roberts. And they set the cloak on fire because it's a thick enough cloak that he can wear it for a bit without actually catching himself. And so all of the guards are just like, oh fuck, I'm getting out of here. Except for one guy who's the guy with the key.
Yeah.
And they all are just like, give us the key. And it's like, what key? And then they threaten his life. It's like, oh, you mean this key?
Yes.
So they storm the castle, and Inigo finds the guy who killed his dad, and they face off, and then the guy flees.
I was so happy that they kept that too, because I remember just getting that moment in the book. I'm like, here it comes, and just very plainly, he flees.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, while this is going on, Buttercup is preparing to kill herself.
Yeah, because she thinks that she's now married, because the prince made him they made the priest who talk like this. Marriage is so special. Which, in the credits, he's called the Impressive Clergyman.
Impressive clergy.
Which is... I love that. So she's like, fuck, I need to, kill myself and all this shit. She's walking with the king, and it's like, kisses him on the cheek, and it's like, what was that for? Because you've always been nice to me, and this is the last time I see you, because I'm killing myself tonight. Oh, she kissed me on the cheek. Did you see that? Oh. Senile old bastard.
Oh, God.
But, so, Inigo chases after the guy. Fezzik tries to, just put Wesley down somewhere, for safekeeping, and goes and helps Inigo bust open a door.
Just so, casually,
yeah.
I got you.
Yep. And Inigo's just like, oh, thank you. Takes off running. And Fezzik goes back to where Wesley was. Wesley's not there. And he's just like, well, now what do I do? Noodle man! All this stuff, he wanders off. And it cuts to Inigo, who chases the guy, and the guy does an underhanded trick where, as Inigo's rounding the corner, throws a dagger into his stomach. And then it cuts back to Buttercup, who's got a dagger, and is about to, stab herself in the chest, and from behind her, she hears, it's like, there's a shortage on perfect breasts in the world. It would be a shame to damage those. And it's like, oh, Wesley, you came! And, she climbs on the bed with him, and is, hugging him and all this stuff, and it's like, why do you not embrace me back? Well, funny story. I'm waking up from being dead. How are you? And the prince shows up, and essentially Wesley just completely defeats the prince by bluffing.
Yeah.
Just to the pain. You mean to the death? No, to the pain. First, I will cut out your eyes, then your nose, and then your feet and your hands. There's a bug.
Bug.
Sorry about that, everybody. Hopefully you didn't have it too loud. There was a bug.
Whoopsie daisies. Invaders.
Yep. Had to die. It's like, then my ears, yes, let's get on with it. No, you keep your ears. That way you can hear all of the screams and cries as people go, my God, what is that? It's like, you're bluffing. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm so weak that I can't even stand. Or maybe, and he stands, and the guy's like, all right, I'm done. Drops the sword, gets tied up. Meanwhile, Inigo is he gets up, gets stabbed again, gets up, gets stabbed again, and eventually just kind of adrenaline rages out and is like, hello, my name is Inigo Montoya, you killed my father, prepare to die. Stabs him in all of the ways that he was stabbed, including the face marks.
Yes.
And it's like, beg for your life. Please spare my life. Promise me anything. Promise me anything. Anything I could ever want. Anything you want, you can have it. I want my father back, you son of a bitch. Stab!
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, so good. Such good vengeance. It's like, we can rest now, father.
Oh.
The deed is done.
Inigo's so good.
Yeah, so Inigo then finds Wesley and Buttercup, and they're like, wait, where's Fezzik? Oh, I thought he was with you. No, I thought he was with you. Hello there! I found horses! 4 white horses? 4 of us if we... no, 5 white horses. No, yeah, 4.
Yeah.
4 white horses, 4 of us if we find the lady. Hello, lady!
That's so good. And, like, they kind of glossed over it, but, like, in the book, like, after Fezzik got separated from everybody, he's panicking because he has no idea where to go.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, shit.
And he just stumbles across the horses. He's like, I can make this work.
Yeah. I found the thing. That's like me if I ever get separated in a D&D campaign. Like, just like, ah, shit. Guess I'm going this way. Ah, dragon! Close that door. What's in door number 2? Ah, hippogriff! This one? Oh, unicorn! Oh god, it's mad!
It's got a gun!
Ah! That deer has a gun! That deer has 2 guns!
They jump on the horses.
That's a total of 2 deers and 3 guns!
Jump on the horses and...
And they ride off. And then it cuts back to the boy and the grandfather, and you see that they've gotten closer through the book, and you know it's like, oh, he'd learned to appreciate it, and you know, oh, Grandpa, would you be able to come back tomorrow and read it to me again? And it's like, I'd love that, as you wish.
Aww.
You know, and it's just like, oh, my heart. So yeah, I really like that movie. Funny thing, before watching it for the podcast, I never watched the movie completely front to start. I'd seen the first part up to about the beginning of the fire swamps.
Okay.
And then I had seen to where they give Wesley the pill to the end. So I'd missed the middle, except for some clips here and there. I just never gotten the chance to watch it fully. And then I found the book that was on sale at Barnes & Noble once, and I'm like, okay, I'll buy this. Got reading to it, and I like the book, but I'm very ADHD. So I was like, man, I'm kind of, you know, doing other things at the moment. You know, I'll eventually come back to the book. I'll let Kat borrow it because she just finished a book, and I think she'd like this. She liked it. I never went back because you know I have comic books and manga because I'm a man of culture and who likes pretty pictures.
I mean, I have to say you've been pretty good about recommending shit to me because I'm like, all right, I enjoyed The Princess Bride. You threw B stars at me several times.
Yeah, it's good.
It's good.
It's good. It's good. Like the art is very emotive too. Like a lot of times, like. It's not a book where, like, the art is constantly on model, you know, like the characters change and stuff like this, but it's very expressive, which is very fun.
I love all of Legoshi's facial expressions.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was The Princess Bride. I'm glad I had the book perspective because as far
I've also
as
been trying to get you to read the Pokemon Adventures mangas.
I've read some of it.
Yeah. Like, what did you read up to? Did you read up to Yellow?
I was like a portion through Yellow. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like I'm glad I read the book because a lot of the times I read the book. I mean, and this is a pretty common sentiment, I'm sure. Outside of the book, outside of Holes, there's been no like book movie where I'm like. There was no that I actually was like, this was really good for what The Princess Bride was. It was good. I liked it. I liked the movie version a lot. It made the humor really came to life in the movie.
I hated Holes.
Really?
It was one of the most boring movies I ever sat through.
Really?
Yep. And it's just like, oh, and there was this cowboy woman. Oh, it turns out it was the camp director. And I'm like, wait, what? I thought this was taking place like in cowboy times in the flashbacks, not like 20 years ago. Wait, what?
No, that was a different flashback. See, Holes was like that movie my brother and I would watch every now.
The woman in the camp is the cowboy lady, right? Like
no.
Then why are they played by the same actress?
I don't know.
And called the same thing? I'm so confused.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
I thought they were in the movie.
No,
like, doesn't
they're
she
not.
even dress as her at one point?
No.
Is she a descendant?
No.
Is it just supposed to be like they're the same type of person?
No, they're no. So the camp director is a descendant of the. I'm probably forgetting some specifics, but
the Western stuff.
The Western stuff was the flashbacks for the whole movie. You remember like the kid of the mayor that wanted to marry Kate, the kissing Kate, but she liked Sam and he didn't like that. But so eventually when Kate skips town, the town goes to shit. The camp director is the descendant of that mayor, or that mayor's son.
Then why does she look exactly like...
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm so confused. That movie, maybe it's just that it presented its story really shittily.
I don't know. Like, I only read the book once.
Also, it's like, oh, this kid got framed for stealing shoes. Now his dad boils shoes. What?
I don't know. It was a movie my brother and I would go back and rewatch every now and then, and it was fun because we would catch something new every single time we watched it. It's been a few years since I've seen it. I should go rewatch that soon.
I just remember because it was an early 2000s movie, it has like a hip-hop theme song. Digging up them holes, digging up them holes. You've got to go dig them holes.
I'm trying to remember. I think I got to that movie. I actually got to see in theaters because I was in an after-school program in those days, and they just they're just like, hey, we're all gonna go see a movie today, and like, yay! And I watched it, and I'm like, I kind of don't get it, but this was fun. And then I rewatched it later, and eventually I got it.
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird. Like, I'm like, I don't understand anything that happened in this movie, but the kid from Even Stevens was in it, so I guess it was good. Because I really liked Shia LaBeouf back then, because I liked Even Stevens.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, which, by the way, Steven, like the Even Stevens, the main guy, I don't think his name was Steven. Maybe it was. I don't remember. No, I think Stevens was their last name. But in one episode, he gets his own personal churro maker in his room. Mm-hmm. And it's very clearly supposed to be like a Disney nod because it was a Disney show. Yeah. It's like, oh, these churros are so good. And I'm like, hell yeah, they are. Yeah.
When you said like I didn't like, I hated that movie. Like my heart just sunk because it's genuinely one of my favorite movies of all time.
I don't know. It had the same problem where like the first time I watched Batman Begins, where just it flip-flops in so many different time periods, where I'm just like, the fuck is happening in this movie? Where Batman Begins, I watched it again a little later in life, and I was like, oh, okay, like it's just showing his life kind of out of order in the beginning until we catch up. Still really fucking stupid and pretentious, and is clearly only done this way because of Memento, but I get it. It's just not good. The whole of the Nolan trilogy, I'm not really a huge fan of. Mm-hmm. Like, I think the first one is the best one because it is the most Batman of them all. But then Dark Knight, aside from the fact that it's a pretty interesting take on the Joker, Two-Face is completely wasted in it. Gotham doesn't even look like Gotham. It just looks like Chicago with no real identifying marks to call it Gotham. Like, Batman barely uses any recognizable gadgets. Like, I don't even think he ever throws a Batarang once.
Oh.
In either of the two sequel films. Like, it just nothing. And I fucking hate the Batmobile design in those movies. I hate them so goddamn much. And they keep doing this shit where it's like, oh, the Batmobile, it's a fucking mobile, city tank. No, it's not. It's a car with gadgets in it. Stop trying to make it military and go back to it basically being James Bond. It's not cool if it's a fucking tank. Doesn't even look like a bat. Where's the fins? Where's like the bat motif in it? Nowhere? Fuck you. I hate that thing. I hate it so much. And I hate that so many people are like, oh man, that Batmobile's so cool. No, it's not! That thing ruined Arkham Knight for me. The fact that it's like, oh, you'll get to drive the Batmobile. Oh, sweet! And then they showed the Batmobile, and I'm like, first off, that's not what the Batmobile looked like in Arkham Asylum. Continuity error. I mean, he does upgrade the Batmobile, I guess. But, like, and then it's basically just the Tumbler? Fuck you! Gross! Ugh. Disgusting. Shameful.
We still got 2 more movies to talk about, dude.
Shameful. Telling you right now, when they do that new Batman movie where they recast it with the guy from Twilight, if it's still in a fucking like tank car, I'm gonna be nettled. I'm gonna be very nettled. You already lost me by fucking putting Edward as Batman. Fucking gross. Why does that guy still have a career? No, I'm kidding. But like, I'm not gonna blame the actor for a clearly shitty set of movies that nobody gave a fuck about. Except for Michael Sheen, weirdly. He was just there to have fun and get a paycheck. Have you seen the clips of him, like, just his faces when he's in the background of scenes?
No.
Amazing. Just having the best time. It's Michael Sheen or Martin Sheen, one of them. But anyway, so next thing, the Muppet movie.
Yeah.
From 1979, I believe.
Yeah, that's it.
So almost an 80s movie, but not. And this movie was the first ever feature-length Muppet production, I believe. Yeah. And very groundbreaking movie when it comes to like puppetry and stuff like that. Just the way they did it, like, you know, that you see Kermit on a bicycle and like all this stuff, and you know, they're driving around in a Studebaker, and because of prop culture, I now know a little bit of how they did that, where essentially all the driving components were moved to the trunk of the car, and the guy was just sitting in the trunk of the car, which is why it was a Studebaker. It has a big trunk. That's part of the reason. And then he just had a camera that was in the front of the car in its grill, watching like that so that the puppeteers could be in the actual car. Oh, meanwhile, there's like upwards to like 6 Muppets in the car at once, and sometimes. So there's got to be these puppeteers just like shoulder to shoulder, like crunched in the car.
God.
No wonder they eventually are just like, fuck it, they're all in the Electric Mayhem bus. Which apparently that bus burned down. That sucks.
Oh, yeah.
So, that's a shame. But, yeah.
The Muppet movie was a fun little...
It's very interesting because...
like,
it's in 79, but it still clearly feels like a 70s movie to me.
I don't understand that.
It doesn't feel like an 80s movie. You know, it's a little bit slower, like a little bit slower paced, has a little bit more room to breathe, because the 80s is when it started transferring to like the modern version of cinematography, where basically, you know, there's almost never a shot that is sustained for longer than 7 seconds.
Okay.
Like, if you look at a modern movie, it is becoming increasingly rare that you ever see a scene that lasts in the same camera angle for more than 7 seconds. Huh. And that's when it's being slow.
That's kind of weird.
Well, it's because they think that if you don't change the angle constantly, people will get bored. And the reason that they think that is because it's true. But the reason that it's true is because everybody's groomed them for that in Hollywood, because they keep like ramping up how fast the edits are. And this really started with Star Wars. Like, Star Wars was made in the editing room. Apparently the first cut of Star Wars was absolute shit. Slow, boring, just awful. So they kept changing the edits, making it faster, making it quicker, all of this stuff, and essentially changed how cinematography was edited. Now in the editing bay, literally in editing classes in college, they were like, don't hold on to a shot for more than 7 seconds. And in some movies, like James Bond or like Fast and Furious, if it's like a high action scene, 3 seconds. If that. Yeah, watch a modern movie and start counting every time the camera angle changes.
I was gonna say
you'll start going insane.
Yeah, let's just pick a movie and try to see how that goes.
Do it with a Marvel movie; it'll do it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Although sometimes Marvel movies do take a little bit of a risk, and the only time really that you will see a shot lasting for longer than like that sort of thing anymore is when it's a long take. Which is where, like, they do the thing of, like, it follows a character through this whole thing without, without any cuts and stuff like that. And that used to be more common, but now it's like this thing where it's like, oh, man, that's so cool and ingenuitive because it's not done as much anymore. Like, and a lot of times also, they're fake. The long takes are fake. They're aided with CGI or clever editing tricks. Like there's one in Birdman with Michael Keaton, where it's supposedly a long take that is like a really, really long, unbroken take. Follows him out of the dressing room and all this stuff. But there's also times where he's lost in the darkness of like shadowy areas. There's cuts there. There's cuts there. There are. It's been confirmed. Like, or, something will pass in front of the camera and stuff like that. And, maybe they're like stitching together 2 takes of the long shot, which essentially means it's not a long shot anymore, but it still has the same effect.
Okay.
But anyway, the Muppet movie is just a very, like, interesting movie. It's very chill, and because it has those like longer editing and like soft scenes, and like it's a lot of people just kind of sitting there talking and having character moments with each other.
Yeah.
It almost kind of feels weird until you start getting into it, because again you're so trained to the modern movie setting.
Yeah, it's because it took me a little bit to really start kind of being like, okay, I'm starting to kind of get this movie.
Yeah.
Like I think it was around the time where they went to go get like a new used car, where it took me until like then.
Oh, you mean the introduction of the best character in the movie, Sweetums?
Sweetums.
Wait, guys, I want to come to Hollywood too. Oh
no.
Poor Sweetums. Sweetums is actually a walk-around character in Walt Disney World Hollywood Studios.
Ooh.
Because they have Muppet Vision 3D there, and at one point, like, the lights and everything goes out, and Sweetums comes in holding a flashlight like, hey, is everybody alright? We're getting the power back on.
Aww.
It's really funny. And they have animatronic penguins in the orchestra. What is that called? The orchestra well or whatever?
The pit?
Thank you.
Yeah. Band.
Yeah, they've got penguins in there. Like, love that. Muppets 101. When in doubt, throw penguins. Or chickens. Or fish. Throw something.
What was I gonna say? But I have to say, I think most of the jokes I remember were still from like the earlier parts of the movie. Like, it's like don't shoot the piano player, the fork in the road.
Yeah. Kermit, fork in the road. I don't believe that. But he says, I don't believe that multiple times in that movie. Like when they see Piggy on the side of the road. I don't believe that. And then, a bear in his natural habitat. A Studebaker. It's like, oh, cool, my uncle left it. It's like, oh, nice car. Thanks, it's a Studebaker. My uncle left it to me. Oh, did he die? No, he's hibernating.
Oh.
And then they sell his car.
Damn. God.
It's good.
It was an enjoyable movie. I do want to watch more Muppets.
Moving right along, tick-a-tum, foot loose and fancy.
I've had Rainbow Connection stuck in my head every now and then.
Somebody thought of it, and someone believed it. Look what that's made so far. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. Raven Simone sung that once.
Really?
Yeah, in a Disney Muppet special, Muppets Go to Walt Disney World.
Huh.
Yeah, Kermit gets separated from all his friends, and like he had this whole plan of spending time with them and doing this reunion thing with his frog family and all this stuff. And he's just kind of down in the dumps, and Raven is just this kid. It's like, what's wrong? Because of course this is in the Muppet universe where, I think, I don't know if anybody else has coined something similar. It's very possible, but I call it mundane absurdity, where it's just the absurdity of the Muppets is normal in the Muppet universe. And I love that, and is why Kermit's early years is not canon. Because in that one, they just throw that out the window and are like, oh yeah, no, the Muppet frogs, they like, Muppet animals and stuff like that, they don't talk to humans, it's not allowed. And Kermit's like the first one to break that and changes the status quo of the world. No, stupid, dumb, bad, dumb. It's already weird enough that apparently in this world where frogs talk, they sell frog legs.
Yeah, that's a little messed up.
How do you like that, Kermit? What does that make you see? Your naming lights? No, it makes me see a bunch of tiny frogs on tinier crutches. But yeah, good movie.
Yeah.
Animal grows to about like 2 stories tall at one point. Ah! Animal! 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 I like Animal too.
Oh my
It's a
God.
nut. But yeah, so then the next movie that we're just going to give a little quick summary on.
The Goofy movie.
A Goofy movie.
A Goofy movie.
A
Thank
Goofy
you.
movie. So this takes place after Goof Troop, the series. You haven't seen that yet.
I have not.
But that takes place when Max is like, I think, 10 to 12.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this, he's in like, middle to near end of high school.
Yeah.
And he is interested in this girl, Roxanne.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to get with her. He puts on this like show, like hijacks like a school assembly, and is dressed as this pop star, Powerline, who's kind of like this Michael Jackson Thriller era figure. And he's like, he's flying around the thing, all this stuff, but he ends up getting in trouble for it. And Goofy gets a call at work. After just being like, oh, my son Max is, he's the best. He's such a good boy. He'd never do anything bad or anything like that. And, he gets a call, and the principal, played by Mr. Inconceivable himself, is like, Mr. Goof, your son was, dressed like a gang member and all this stuff. Like, just completely blows it out of proportion, which gets into Goofy's head. He's like, oh no, I gotta save my boy. I gotta save him from, ending up in the electric chair. Literally, the principal says that he's on the path to getting into the electric chair, which, nowadays, that principal would be so fucking fired.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as that reached the ears of the administration.
Oh, yeah.
So fired.
Because, if for anything, because, like...
Unless
now,
unless it was the principal of my old high school. In which case, they'd probably get a medal. Fuck my old high school. Glenwood High School. All of the faculty who I know you're listening to this, fuck yourselves. You're all the worst.
Damn.
Except for one of you, you know who you are. I hate you.
Like nowadays, if a teacher or like administrator like calls the parents and say, hey, your kid was being a little shit, it's like, not my little Johnny. I don't believe you.
Let me
The
speak to
teachers are wrong.
Let me speak to your manager.
Wait, I'm the principal of the school.
Let me speak to your manager. I demand it.
But yeah, so Goofy decides that we need to take an impromptu fishing vacation.
Which will take up screening, like the live screening pay-per-view of the Powerline concert that's going on in LA, which he made into a date with Roxanne. So, on this impromptu trip, he gets Goofy to pull over to Roxanne's house and meets with Roxanne after being absolutely terrified by her fucking Neanderthal of a dad, who doesn't even talk, just growls. And then when Roxanne's there, he just goes, oh, crazy. But Roxanne is like, oh, I'm really looking forward to our date. And, Max is like, yeah, I was too. Was? And, like, good bit of character animation there, because, like, she looks very hurt by that. Aww. Like, she was very much looking forward to it, which is proof that she did actually like him. And so he's like, yeah, my dad's got this whole freaking thing in his brain where it's like, oh, impromptu vacation. It's like, no, it's okay, Max. You don't have to lie. It's stupid anyway. I'll just get somebody else to go with me. It's like, oh, shit. So, panicking, he lies and says that the reason he has to go on this trip is because Powerline, who is an old bandmate of his dad, Goofy, asked to see him and have them join in the concert.
Stupid as shit.
He was panicking. The girl of his teenage dreams was like, I'll just date somebody else. The boy, it gave him a concern.
I was gonna say, because the whole movie I'm like, he's stupid, but I just don't have that perspective of being a sad, desperate teenage boy.
I haven't done that for, like, getting some ever, but there have been some things where just as a teenager, my brain, like, it was something that really wasn't that huge of a deal in hindsight, but my brain went, fucking panic! Red alert! Red alert! DEFCON Delta! Take cover! So I can kind of see it. Yeah, just fucking shit! I don't remember if it was from the Goofy movie or something else, but there was something I heard recently where it's like, oh, he's a teenager. At this point in time, everything permanent is temporary and everything temporary is permanent. Which is a great version of what teenagerdom is.
Yeah,
Everything is changing too much, but also not enough. But then again, that's also my adulthood right now, so Arrested Development is a show, and also the name of a symptom. Anyway, so they go on this trip, and it's kind of like this, road trip, Route 66-esque stuff. Like, I caught some references to Route 66 stuff, actually. Like the Possum Park thing, there's like a big possum head thing.
Okay.
And on Route 66, there's actually a slide that goes into a lake. And it was condemned and closed for a long time, but it actually, from last time I checked, it reopened because they had cleaned up the lake and refurbished the thing. So they had, like, brought this very old, like, Americana roadside stop back to life and was, like, actually usable again.
Oh.
There's, like, this watering hole, natural pool. Very cool. Hopefully it's still like that. But yeah, it's like this little, it's this whale, and it looks like, either it's that kind of like big whale where it reminds you of like Moby Dick or Pinocchio with Monstro or Jonah and the Whale, like that kind of thing. But you go into the mouth and then you like slide out of the side, I believe, near the tail. But like it reminded me of that, except this goes into like this little roadside attraction with robots.
Malfunctioning robots.
Yeah, malfunctioning robots, which I can never tell is if it's supposed to be like an indicting parody of like other companies' animatronics, like Chuck E. Cheese or You know, like the other ones that they had. There were a few of them. Or if it was a parody of the Country Bears, because it kind of seems like both. Especially because for the longest time, Country Bears was kind of looking worse for wear. I think they're keeping better care of it now, because there's only like 2 left, because the rest have been replaced. Walt Disney World's Country Bears is still around, and then Tokyo Disneyland still has Country Bears, but it's permanently in the seasonal overlay of Country Bears holiday. So, I think they do that better now. But like, remember in the Winnie the Pooh ride when I had you in the honey area, I had you look up and behind, and there were those stuffed animal heads.
Yes.
That's from Country Bears.
Okay.
Those characters are from Country Bears, and apparently, even though they're static there, and there were static like stuffed versions of those characters on the wall mounts in like a bar that was next to Country Bears when it opened. Apparently those are not the stuffed ones and actually are the animatronics from one of the theaters. They're just static.
Oh.
I think it'd be funny if they just turned them on again and had the ears wiggle and blink. Just see some kid, you know, he's like, whoa! Ah! That'd be very funny. That reminds me of another story of Disneyland, and yes, I am going on a diatribe, but this story is amazing.
Oh my god.
I see you know which story I'm talking about. Pirates of the Caribbean, ladies and gentlemen, is a dark ride in Disneyland where you're on a boat in the water. You go past a bayou and go down into a cave with a bunch of pirate skeletons, go back in time, see the pirates and how they got there, how their greed ended up getting them fucking murdered. Also, they shoehorned Jack Skellington and Barbossa into it in like 2006.
Well,
I don't like to talk about that. The new Red animatronic is pretty okay, though. I like that. I mean, there were female pirates. You know, it sucks that I can't say we wants the redhead anymore. I guess I still can, but people are going to start not understanding that reference eventually. Anyway, I think the new scene is fine. Now, if only they would just get the fuck rid of all of the movie shit. Get rid of it. I don't like it. No. I like the first movie, fine. Don't shoehorn it back into the ride. It's not needed. Except for one thing. They added the Aztec treasure chest from the first movie into the Pirate Cove scene as just part of the treasure pile.
Uh-huh.
That's good. I'm fine with that. That's a little reference, nod. Doesn't completely, you know, uproot the whole fucking narrative of the original thing. It's just like, oh, the pirates are just trying to find Jack Sparrow. And, you know, they're just ransacking the town to find Jack Sparrow. It's all about Jack Sparrow. It's always been about Jack Sparrow. What are you talking about? Hey, look, there's a mural of Jack Sparrow on the wall now. Fuck you. There doesn't need to be a motivation for them to attack the town. They're fucking pirates. They're assholes. They don't need a higher motivation than that. They all end up in jail or dead anyway. Who fucking cares? And why does Jack Sparrow get away in the end? Yeah, I know he's a protagonist in the movies, but he's still a pirate who's probably killed innocent people in his past. Fuck him. Kill him. Also, Johnny Depp's an asshole. Beat his wife. Stop it. Take those out. Or just repurpose them into, you know, original characters, because the animatronics are very impressive. But anyway, the story is we had just eaten at the Blue Bayou restaurant, very good restaurant. I ate lamb. I felt like a monster. But that's not the point of the story. And we were like, oh, hey, we just got out of the restaurant that is in Pirates of the Caribbean's Bayou scene. And according to the app, the wait time for Pirates is pretty quick.
It was like 15 minutes or something?
Yeah, that's not bad at all. And I think it was actually a little bit less than that.
Yeah.
And in reality. So we get in there. We get on the boat. You know, we're having a good time. You know, it's a bit late in the evening and all this stuff. So it's just, yeah, we're on Pirates again. And I don't know if Kat noticed it at this point, but I start hearing from behind me.
I heard their whole exchange.
Yeah, as we're loading onto the boats, this girl is so convinced that it's a scary ride. And I'm like, a scary ride? What does she think this is? Disneyland Paris and or Hong Kong? No, this is an American Disney park. They're too fucking pussies to do that. Like, they're too cowardice. Disney. Mickey's not so scary Halloween. Fuck you. You know, where's Maleficent's terrifying Halloween?
Pirate story.
Anyway, I will not be silenced. She's like, is this a scary ride? No, it's not a scary ride. Are there jump scares? And that made me laugh. I'm like, yeah, there's jump scares. Freddy Fazbear's gonna show up. Like, there's a tie-in with FNAF. And it's like, no, there's no jump scares. And it's like, okay, well, as long as you promise that it's not scary. Meanwhile, by this point, we're already in the bayou scene. She's in the boat. I don't know what point she's trying to make at this stage. She can't get out.
No.
Unless she wants to take a swim. And I feel like some cast members would be very upset with her if she did that. So, she's kind of in it already. Meanwhile, after the bayou scene, there's this part that's essentially in almost pitch black darkness. It's just a rounding corner. But it's dark enough. So, she literally just says, okay, as long as you promise there's no scares. And from in front of them, they hear... and she goes, ah! And her friends go, who did that? We have a scared child on board. Meanwhile, Kat hits me in the shoulder. Asshole.
I know, I said, like, you're such a dick.
Yeah, such a dickhead. And meanwhile, as soon as the lights are back, I just look at him and go, turn around. And, we were all laughing about it then.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all on board. And I think it helped her loosen up. Because I got the scare out of the way. Then the drop happened and she went, ah! Very fun experience. I think that was the best time ever on Pirates that I've ever had. Because I got to be a part of the thing.
You got to be...
I got to be a part of another person's experience. Which is very fun. But yeah, so after that diatribe, they're going and they're on this road trip. They meet up with Pete and PJ twice. Yeah. Somehow. Like, it never establishes that they're, like, on the same trip or anything. They just keep freaking running into each other.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, they, Max and Goofy are starting to bond and, get better and stuff like this. And Goofy's trying to trust Max a little bit more and let him choose some things. However, Max then alters the course on the map. Which, the next day... Unbeknownst to Goofy, he doesn't know that Max changed the map. He just lets Max be the navigator, trusting that he'll still get them to the intended destination. Oopsie daisy. So Max could come clean at this point, but I think he gets interrupted and loses the nerve.
Yeah.
Because the person comes with their food.
Yes.
Yeah, so he was about to man up and say, Dad, I fucked up, I changed the map, sorry. But, gets interrupted and loses the nerve and it's just like, okay, I'll deal with it later. It's later Max's problem.
And eventually we get to...
And this is after the Sasquatch just shows up. Bigfoot just appears. Oh
yeah, I almost forgot that was a thing.
Yeah, Bigfoot just shows up for one scene and they have the Hi Dad soup and all that stuff. And, it's like, oh, they're bonding. But then Max gets that opportunity. And, he at first he's like, no, I'm not going to. And then the pencil rolls down. And he's like,
well, that's just fate.
Okay, well, if you're just going to hand me that on a silver platter. But, he clearly feels guilty about it. And I like that. They show in the animation and his, mannerisms and stuff like that, yes, he's doing shitty things. But he does feel bad about it. Like, even with Roxanne, the second that the lie comes out of his mouth, he's like, God! Fucking... Okay. It's like he's clearly struggling because he's in over his head. But again, he does still have a sense of morality. But eventually, Pete, the second time that they meet up in a hotel, they he overhears PJ and Max saying that he changed the route. And Pete, of course, after, Goofy and Max were getting along so well, meanwhile, Pete and PJ just really aren't talking.
They're kind of doing their whole separate thing.
Yeah, and Pete, of course, is jealous and, angry that Goofy's son seems to like him more, and all this shit. And, basically ruins everything by saying, he's lying to you, playing you for a fool. And it's like, no, I don't believe it. Max is a good boy. It's like, I don't know. You can raise your son how you want, Pete, but at least I know my son loves me. And it's like, hey, my boy respects me. And I'm like, that's a very interesting thing that you just brought up there. That's basically the two sides of being a dad. Like, do you want your son to, respect and kind of fear you? Or do you want him to like you? Do you want him to actually care about you? Mm-hmm. I think that, obviously there's some both that you need to have. And Goofy kind of learns that where, at a certain moment he has to put his foot down and stuff like this. But eventually, he proves that Max did change the map and all this stuff, and
we get to the fork in the road.
The fork in the road, where he's basically testing Max
to make the turn.
Yeah, make the turn right, but Max says left, and Goofy tells him that he knows that he changed the map and all this stuff. Car goes off the friggin' road. They have to chase it down. Goes into a river. All this stuff and harrowing and stuff like this. And Goofy is like, why did you lie to me? I was trying to help you and all this stuff, and everything comes out, the electric chair in the prison and all this stuff. And another really good line where it's like, I have my own life now, and Goofy's like, I know that. I just wanted to be a part of it. And I'm like, ugh. Oh, my heart. Oh, my heart. How is Goofy the best father in cartoons? Oh,
it's such a,
because it's at both him acknowledging, yes, you have your own life and are your own person, mm-hmm. and also him admitting, but I still want to be a part of your life. I need that because mm-hmm. you're my son. I need to know that we will still have a relationship. And I'm like, oh my God, my heart. So, eventually they get, they reconcile. They have a little song number where their shoes disappear. And then there's this harrowing thing where they both kind of save each other. And then, after that, Goofy's like, all right, well, let's get you to that Powerline concert. Let's make that fucking shitty lie that you said not a lie anymore so that... I don't know. It's true, why not? And they sneak backstage. Goofy gets on stage first, and Max is like, Dad, perfect cast. And, starts doing that. Powerline is just like, okay, I guess I'll just run with this.
He just rolls with it.
Yeah, I'll just roll with it. And, then Goofy, is dancing with Powerline. Max gets there, power slides in, and they're all dancing and stuff like this. Meanwhile, Roxanne is watching in that party. And it's just like, oh, I told you you'd be there and all this stuff. And, she's all like stars in her eyes and all this stuff. and we get that whole musical number for Eye to Eye, and I'm like, hell yeah, power line, power line, power line, power line.
He was so like,
I
proud.
love that.
He was so after the movie, he ran for his Disney pins, and he's just so proud.
I have a Goofy movie pins. They had a whole pack of just pins when I went to Disneyland that were just for a Goofy movie, and it had Max's power line. It had it was Powerline's logo, and it either said Eye to Eye or the other song that they said. I think it was the other song. And then they had Tower of Cheesa, which was from Max's friend, who it shows that this movie was made in the 90s.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Tower of Cheesa. Oh! Yeah. But yeah, so eventually it then cuts to, he's back home, and he comes clean to Roxanne. And it's just like, oh. It's like, but, you weren't lying. I saw you there. It's like, yeah, but that wasn't planned. Like, we snuck in. Powerline was just cool enough to, not arrest us. Like, not get us arrested and all this stuff. And it's like, well, why would you lie about that? I don't know. I wanted you to like me. It's like, I already liked you, Max. That's why I agreed to the date.
Dumb.
And it's just like, oh, cool. Now they're going to date. And, it's like, oh, well, can we go out tonight? Yeah. No, I'm doing something with my dad, but tomorrow night I can. It's like, okay, that's fair. And that's pretty much where the movie ends.
Yeah, there's my dad.
Yeah, there's my dad. Maybe you know him, Goofy, from such cartoons as Disney ones. That one where he's trying to set up a TV. Or learning a football. Or dealing with road rage.
Oh, yeah, that...
But yeah.
I liked that movie a lot too. It was another just sit down and enjoy it kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of hit big. Yeah, the line that hit me the most was the "My son respects me." Like it's just like
it's like my son loves me. My son respects me. All right, whatever you say, Pete.
For just like a chill like where you
also,
assume to be a
listeners,
kids movie. Like it had some really really good themes in it.
Also, listeners, let me know how my Goofy voice is. Do you think it's good? That was more of a Mickey laugh, wasn't it? Yup.
Kind of, yeah. You.
Oh boy! Hiya there, fellas! It's me, Mickey Mouse. I hope you all there are drinking your Disney juice, or I'm gonna stab you in the face. Oh, Mickey, you need to lay off the cocaine. Don't tell me what to do, Goofy. Oh, Mickey, please.
Incredible.
Hi ho, Kermit the Frog here, and I brought a knife.
Oh. Oh, God. But yeah, quarantine times have been rough, but we're trying to keep it lighthearted here.
Yeah, I'm slowly losing my mind. But, that's nothing new for me.
Oh. No, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll figure out some more lighthearted movies to talk about and get on tangents about completely different things soon enough. We'll figure it out. Just keep listening to us. We got it. We got a Twitter, Out of the Ice Pod 1. Follow us there. I'm at Cat27. Follow me. I just retweet memes.
Yeah,
basically.
and if you're not listening on YouTube, we have a YouTube channel. It used to be called Nothing in Particular Productions until I thought of a better name. So now it's Kingdom of Geekalon. And we do this podcast here. We've done a few card unboxings. And we also do Let's Plays on there, some stream archives. We're just trying stuff out as we get more equipment and, find our voice in this. We'll branch out and do other things and just, see what we like doing.
Yeah.
So come along with us in that journey of YouTube self-discovery.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's it for us. Later.
Bye.